FUNDA Greatness. Engage, inspire, motivate, and empower millions of children every day, supporting you, the adult, to unlock your child's full potential so that they can achieve greatness at home, school, and in life.
Your child can achieve greatness. What is greatness? What is your child's full potential? There's only one way to find out. It's okay to not follow the crowd. It's okay to be different. Who cares what others think? You only have one life. Live it. Do what others refuse to do.
Making a positive difference to children's lives every day.
Hello, Kieran here, the founder of FUNDA. How are you today on this Thursday morning? I'm so excited because I've got one of my mentors, one of my coaches, one of my old teachers. A coach needs a coach, and I would like to say hello. And I'm going to bring Danny Massaro on in just a sec. But before I do this, I just want to share my story because it's really important about, I'm not going to go in all guns blazing. It's pretty much a quick short snippet of how I wanted to become a professional footballer. I sadly had an horrific car crash that completely changed my life. And through that time, I was looking for an answer or looking for help. And I bumped into Danny Massaro, who reached out to me to do lots of NLP sessions with me, lots of support, lots of life coaching to find myself. And pretty much Danny Massaro helped me at college to be my best and do the best I can do at college, through university, and pretty much at the start of my career. So without further ado, I'd like to bring on Danny Massaro. So here he is. Hi, Danny.
Hiya, you okay?
Yes, very good, Dan. Great to see you.
Good to see you. Looking well.
You too, Danny. You too. Is it another brother? I've had Brent on last week who had a bald head, and now we've got bald heads, so we look like brothers.
When you're a deep thinker, you know, the hair follicles disappear.
That's it, Dan. That's it. So I'm going to turn this off now because it's really important, and I've got lots of stuff to share with people, lots of questions. This show is unscripted, and the reason we're doing this show really is to help parents through this challenging time, help children, help coaches, help teachers, help individuals out there through COVID, through any barriers, for any challenges, to unlock their full potential and achieve greatness. And I would love to know your story in a nutshell. Just pretty much what sums up yourself, really.
Oh, it'd be difficult for me to put anything into a nutshell. Quickly, yeah. I grew up in Mellor, near Blackburn. Moved to Preston with my family. We worked in a fruit and veg shop, and we all took that over. So that was when I moved from Mellor at 8, got to Preston, then stayed there, went to school, did okay at school, played a lot of squash as a kid, a lot of football, snooker, all the usual, loads of sports. Squash and football became kind of like the two that I took seriously. You think it's seriously, but it isn't at the time. Then I got 5 GCSEs, went to college, did A-levels, but at that time my parents split up and I lived on my own. Actually, at 16 I had my own flat, bedsit place. Looking back, it's quite young, and I do remember people saying at the time, you're really young to live by yourself, but I don't know, for some reason I kind of really enjoyed it, and a few lonely times, and I got to know myself and hang out with myself a lot, that's for sure. So I think that kind of either makes or breaks you a bit. And for me, it made me. I think that's where I started to get into psychology as well, because I sort of knew that your mind was important, and it was something about the way you thought about what was happening to you more than what was actually happening to you was, up to a point, was what was important. Yeah. So yeah, I didn't do well in my A-levels the first time, so I retook them and did 2 years, and then I didn't quite get enough with those in those 2 years to get to university, so I did another year and ended up with 4 different A-levels, quite good in English and PE, communication studies, and business. And that went off to Liverpool University. Stopped squash. I used to play a lot, county and all that. That's when I stopped. Started doing all the university stuff, DJing a lot, going out, played football through university, so I was still into that, and kept fit, pretty fit. I was always quite fit. I think, I don't know why, but I always picked up fitness quite quick. And then finished at Liverpool in 97, and that same year, in 1997, I got a job at Preston College, and my old boss, Jeff Snalem, who was brilliant for me when I was at college. He helped me out a lot as well, because I was living by myself and I needed that kind of support. He took me back on. He's seen I'd done quite well, given what, I've been on my own and everything, and gave me a job. And I was there for 10 years till 2007, working A-levels, BTECs, GCSEs, all the different levels of study. And towards the end there, I got into doing HNDs and higher national certificates and so on. Kieran, you joined on that course, having been through the BTEC. So, and that's where me and you really got to know each other. And at that time, I just met just a bit before that, I'd met Laura Massaro, Laura Langthorne at the time, who became my wife, who was a great squash player. And we had 2 courts that the college built, squash courts, which was weird. It was like a bit of when we had the new centre built, they did a public survey about locally what facilities they would like to see. And surprisingly, it came back, amongst all the other things, they wanted squash courts.
Yes.
So I hadn't played squash for a long time, and it was a bit of that's weird. I better get back having a go at it. And I just typical me. I picked it up again in about 2002 squash, and I've never left it since 2001. And I started coaching a bit then. I've been doing football, women's coaching. I've been doing a lot of soccer coaching with the college teams. Yeah. And then I was getting fitter. Then I was starting to teach on coaching modules on the higher national diploma. I didn't even know coaching was a subject. It probably wasn't really until the late 90s. And that's another story, how coaching has been affected by a lot of science and research. Yeah. But that got a bit complicated there. But essentially, I got to know Laura through, because I started then playing squash at the David Lloyd Club in Chorley. Yep. I had my own house. I got to meet Laura. We hit it off, you know. And then in 2007 we got married, and it was so that I could then go on the professional tour, the world tour with Laura, and coach her and be with her, because I was doing a lot of the groundwork anyway with other coach influences. And that was it. Yeah, we went and we went and we went, and yeah, we did amazing. She got, you know, she got to world number one. 2014, I think, in Hong Kong. 2015, no, sorry. She won the World Championships in 2013. She won the British Open, which is like the Wimbledon of squash. For those of you that don't know, she won that in 2013. A whole city's football ground, actually. They put a court on the pitch. It was packed there. It was brilliant. And she won that twice. Lots of other things, loads of titles, you know, player of the year all the time. So her career, you know, was unbelievable. You know, she's the young English player ever to win the British Open and the World Championship. So
cool. Awesome.
I've this brilliant. Like, how did that happen?
Yes, and I've got to delve. I'm going to delve into each little golden nugget there, Dan, what you've mentioned as well, because I've noted them down, and that's why I get people to start with a story, just so I can delve into it. But let's talk about you first in terms of England Squash Elite Coach of the Year that you won. That's fantastic, isn't it?
Yeah, you know, lovely, isn't it? You know, you get these little things, and they're like cherries on the cake. They come when you don't really actively seek them as well. You know, you're just going along, you're trying to be better, and then they come. And to be fair, when I won that award, I was a little bit like, oh, thanks, you know. But my younger self would have been desperate to win something like that. You know, it was weird. It was a bit like you'd gone past it in your own head anyway. So you were a bit like, well, all right, thank you. But it sounds good on things like this, doesn't it?
Yes. And there's you playing there. Let's see if I can arrange this so I can. They're coming on as the overlay, aren't they? So let me just check this overlay, so I can put that down later as the background. But that was you playing back then, and you still played a lot at college as well. I remember you were awesome at playing at college. You taught us a trick or two at college. That was awesome. Really enjoyed it.
The playing for me personally has been vital. My mentor, a guy called David Pearson, who's been coaching for a long time, since the early 80s. Fabulous man, and you know, like all good mentor type people are. He said to me once, two things: keep your playing standard up whilst you can, and learn the game through your own techniques and your own playing. And he said, never stop generating new ideas. Keep coming up with your own ideas, which brilliant, really, because it stops you being that cardboard cutout coach on one level, where you think, oh, if I do this, and this, then I am a good coach. I work a lot on the mental side, actually, with a lot of players at the moment, and they read all these books. And before you know it, they've just become a disciple to the book. Because it's like, found the answer. And in a way, they're just playing a role. It's like they've signed up for drama class, and they're just playing the script that this author's said to do. And they're just blindly playing this script, thinking that once they get there, then they will be a good coach, or then they will be a good player. And yeah, they can point the way and be good, but they lose, in a way, they go to sleep. They lose their own responsibility to actually contribute the full self. And this has been the difficulty with a lot of these books and popular science books, and 10 ways to do this and 5 ways to do that, and even the resilience and the mindset, and all. They're good, but if you're not careful, you become too much into them. And I think DP, my mentor, was trying to say to me, feel the game, keep feeling the game, and what I love about, keep learning with your new ideas, take risks, let them work, let them fail. But the playing part, more than anything, I would say, for me, keeping playing is the thing that has given me the most empathy for my players. And that's knocked on to giving empathy for parents, which is why I ended up writing the book, which we'll come to. But when you still play the game and you video yourself and you watch and you're a coach, any game really, it wouldn't necessarily have to be that game, but for me, I can still play squash to a high standard and I love it. Is your theories that you generate all the time go out the window. You go, oh, you think you've always found the latest solution. You watch a documentary, you do a little bit of something, you're like, I found it. This is the key to the whole sport. Found it. You go on, it works. It works, then it fails, then it fails, then and then you're on to something else. And what you start to realize is playing the game live and the players is not the same as talking about it.
Yes.
And standing there. And I think with the advent of all the Sky Sports and all the criticisms and the sport in itself to analyze now and to watch and to come across very serious and certain about things. You know, Jamie Carragher, Gary Neville, they were good for a few years because they just left the game. And then they just basically turned into puppets, parodies of themselves. Saying the same things, looking ever more serious, a sharper tie, a big serious face, and to me, I know what I'm on about. And it's like, guys, you're funny and you know, you're okay, and I like what you do. It's an entertainment, but it's not the game.
Yes.
And I see a lot of people fall for that, particularly academics. A lot of academics I work with at the university, because I did keep my job going. I did start a new job at the university in 2007. And I equally see a lot of academics, they lose touch with the messiness and the lived life and stickiness of actual, you know, being a coach by the day and the ups and the downs. It all gets too clinical and too certain. Like that's a good picture there. I'm in Macau there.
Yes.
It's like 34 degrees. It's nighttime. And I've got some ice on Laura's back after the first, because all she's saying is, I can't feel my feet, they're too hot. But the other girl's struggling more, so it's great, you know. And I was actually running across the road there between games to the shop to buy ice pops in the middle of next to a casino in Macau to get the ice pops to rub them on Laura's back.
Oh, bless her.
Games, you know. Wow. That just became about, you know, that's messy, that's real. All the theories, you know, they go out the window. You're just going on instincts.
Just get on with it,
yeah. So, you know, that's interesting. That, you know, playing the game still, and you know, feeling what it really is.
Still fit as a fiddle as well, Dan.
It keeps you good empathy. Say that again.
You're still fit as a fiddle as well.
You have to be, don't you? You know, it's those little habits. You know, it's an easy slide away. And I don't want people say, you know, you'll always be fit, you'll be this and that, like I've got some magic wand. But you know, I remember being at uni, last few years of uni, some of my pictures, I was pretty unfit and fat. You know, so
like me
down quickly, but you have to keep fit, Kieran. You have to, you know. A lot of it is, for me personally, is when I feel fit, I feel proud of myself. And when I feel proud of myself, then I'm a lot more relaxed and I coach and I help and my relationships are better. So it's a selfish thing. So I like the exercise and I like the endorphins, but it's also bigger than that. It's about my sense of self-respect.
And I've got something to show you here, Dan, because I've got somebody trolling my Facebook and he's one of our friends as well. And look what this guy said. Mick Noblet, it's like watching Grant and Phil. So thanks, Mick. I'm definitely going to have to get fit now. Who's Grant and who's Phil? So
he's another brilliant bloke. He's done a lot of stuff for people at Preston College.
Great guy, great tutor.
Still there, you know, helping kids, like really, really passionate about Preston College as an institution. You know, and you know, that place has provided so much for so many people. As all the colleges do, you know, but you need again, his mix so sound, so solid that without these type of people, you know, things don't get done.
One of my mentors. So yeah, let's talk about this
thing with my dad yesterday. I was out golfing with him, and and he's been into his sit-ups during lockdown, and he hasn't had a drink, and he's been getting fit. And I'm like, who is this guy? Yeah. And he said, I feel really good, and I want to go to Scotland to play golf, and I feel good, and I'm feeling really good. And you know, he's not doing all the classes and everything. He's just doing a little bit more. And and one of the things is when you do a bit of fitness training, or you don't eat that you know, Laura this week, she's got a message on the fridge: no chocolate, no bread, no whatever. No Saturday. You know, stick to it. But you know, apparently she's this self-disciplined, expert, world-class performer, but she still needs to write a blooming sign on the fridge in red pen: don't eat bread, don't eat chocolate. Because, you know, we're human. And
just shows we're human,
But what I like about that, Laura there, and my dad as well, you're basically saying to yourself, my future's worth it. It's worth sacrificing now because I want my future to be better. And we do think of the future all the time. You know, we're not a tree or a dog. We are humans, and we are worried a lot what's going to be next, what we're going to be, what's going to happen. So it's easy to get overwhelmed by that and just cash it in and just go, sack it. I'm getting some more wine down my neck. Oh, I'm not going training. I'm going to watch this TV show. Yeah. Oh, I'm not practicing. It doesn't work. Oh, I'm not going for another run. I'm too old. Yeah. When you don't say that and you try a little bit, and you try something and you try again, I mean, how can your heart not go out to that person? Because they're thinking to themselves, my future self is worth this. Yeah. You know? And I remember watching a Simpsons episode, and where Homer, he drank loads of beer and he just kept going. And they said, "Oh, you're going to be ill, Homer." He went, "That's a problem for future Homer."
yeah, that's it. That's exactly right, Dan.
I see that a lot. I see people like, "Oh, don't worry about, you know, that'll be then," and they always go for the shortcut and the quick instant thing, and whereas every time I see someone trying something new or getting up, you shouldn't laugh at, you know, you can have fun, but you shouldn't laugh at them for trying or try and bring them down. When you told me about some of your business ideas early on, you know, and you were at college and what you wanted to do, I could have easily laughed at you because, you know, some of the things you were on about and what you wanted to do. Look what you've gone and done. I mean, it's unbelievable, you know, and you should never put people down for saying, "Oh, I might want to be this, I might want to be that." You know, I think sometimes there's a limit, you know, they get a bit in fantasy land. I think then you can say, well, what are you doing about it? You keep saying this, but you're not doing anything. So there's a match up with their actions. I think that's why I define it's not just goal setting, it's goal doing. It's like when you see I believe that people's true beliefs are their behaviors, not what they tell you.
Yes.
You know, people talk a real good game about a lot of things, but I look for the behaviors more as to, well, that's what they really believe in. Whether it's a job interview, someone I'm thinking of taking on, notice behaviors, because we can all talk and Facebook and all these things. We can show that we can PR ourselves to the world. We're experts at PRing ourselves in all these little clever ways nowadays. But I just look at the behaviors, you know, and I think that's what's going to be the next phase of life once everyone's starting to see through all this PR, Facebook, Twitter, you know, I'm perfect type thing.
Cloned and
down to how authentic you are and what you do, not what you say.
Yes, that's it. And that's what my mentor said. I mean, my business mentor for me, Dan, he said, "Oh, this Facebook, this TikTok," and people are always saying, "Oh, Kieran, you're on Facebook, you're on so many channels, you're crushing it on Facebook." But to be honest, I get really nervous before, like, talking to you now, before coming on Facebook. People say, "Oh, it's a perfect life, Kieran's doing all this," but really deep down, I'm only human, I'm only hustling, and I'm doing it to make a difference to children and reach out to the children. That's because that's where everybody is now. on Facebook, online, and on social media. So we've got to use it as our advantage. And look how schools are using it now. We're Zooming, and colleges, we lecturing at home, and Laura, we are YouTube channel, for example, as well. And I feel owning them skills in a crisis like this is valuable.
The tool, the knife isn't, the old analogy of a knife, isn't it? A knife's not a bad thing. It's how you use the knife.
Yes.
You need a knife, and you need all the range of tools. But I think how you use it is the thing. So you only need to look at how someone uses why they do it. Are they doing it for authentic, helpful, spreading, technological, all the fantastic reasons? Or are they using it to spread gossip? Or are they humble bragging all the time because they're, oh, look at me, the referees were great this weekend at this tournament. Oh, by the way, Sarah got first.
Yes.
Well, you're clearly PRing your family.
Yes.
But you've done it by the guise of how proud you are of the referees or the organisers. It's like, just say it. Just come out and say it. I'm Sarah won gold. Brilliant. Aren't we brilliant?
Yeah.
I really think people would like that more.
The new one, Dan, the new one is children's stats at Liverpool headquarters or Burnley FC or these football clubs at the age of 6, a young boy sat there signing a contract. My boy's made it pro. And I'm like, what? But he's got 6 other clubs he's travelling to as well. Yeah.
It's
unbelievable.
It's just the way it is. And it isn't easy for people. And you can understand why it's tempting happening because we do, it's like fashion, isn't it? With a lot, we all, when did tattoos get popular again and beards? They're David Beckham, wasn't it? And for all the kids and muscles, you have to now be muscly. Back in my day, it was only Arnold Schwarzenegger and a few people that were into bodybuilding that had muscles. It's like standard now have to have mainly a decent this thing and your beard and tattoo and your hair. And so Facebook's the same as that. You just do what other people do.
Yes.
So you end up just playing where if you shut down to that and you don't catch yourself, you're just playing an automated role. You're just a robot, really. And you need to be like that sometimes because every little decision you ever do in your life, you can't consider it to pieces. But on some of the critical things, like what messages am I sending out to my son, daughter? What is this going to do in the long term? All this overzealous type hype. Why is my child who's 6 the family headline news? Why are they exciting me so much? They're just a kid. When I see genuinely over the years that what you might call the background of the child, something I wrote about in the book. Yeah. And it's interesting. I still see it in Egypt a bit. Like when I go to Egypt, where they're very good at squash, and we spend a bit of time there. You still see that society where the children, no matter how good they are and loved and popular, and they're like down there. They're not considered in the adult conversation. The adults talk about the adult things, and then the grandparents are even a bit more, and the kids are like, you're just kids. It's like, we're not bothered about you, but we love you. And there's a high level of love and cuddles and tellings off and passion. And they get told off a lot, for not trying an effort. And then they're cuddled in the next minute. Whereas in England, it seems to have gone more about, like, I love you more for what you are and what you do. Yeah. Then they're just, it's obvious I love you. You're my kid. But the adults are talking now. So you going to Burnley or Everton or whatever, it means nothing apart from you're just kicking a ball about, like, what you're doing. So then you get pro footballers now from this generation who have made it, Premier League, absolutely perfect. Somebody like Michael Keane at Everton. Yeah. He has 10 bad games, 15 bad games, hurts his foot. And the next thing you know, he's talking to Prince William about how depressed he is. Yeah. Yeah. And you're like, that's just sport. That bad form, a bad season, an injury. And I get it. I'm not saying that he's lying about it I'm just saying that's a product of somewhere back down the line. He's always been self-important, had a sense of attention. Yeah. and really, in a way, he's never truly might not know what it's like to be put under the line and serve people and not be listened to.
Yes, yeah.
Everybody's they've been little superstars since they've been so small. Not as in high level, like real superstars, but just in terms of attention and how serious it is and how important it is.
Yep.
And that's not just parents being bad and so on. That's the way culture's gone. That's the club, the way the clubs do it. But there are still a lot of people that are brilliant and make it through normally.
Yeah.
But when I see people not doing so well when they start being pro, and it should be all going well and they're earning a lot of money, but they're still a little bit like this still isn't good enough.
Yeah.
You start to think, what's gone on there? Something's gone on. You actually are living the dream. You are the 1% of people did it, and you're struggling. What now? You don't see as much of that in something like squash because it's not as high,
publicized. Yeah,
you're not like up there and then down there. You're a bit of an everyman anyway.
Yes,
you can be a big fish in a small pond, and even though that pond's getting bigger now because of social media, so it's interesting stuff. And it isn't to accuse people; it's just to be aware of it and nip it in the bud.
And it is hard that done as parents, because me being a parent myself as well is when my little boy and you're always questioning yourself: am I doing the right thing? Am I? Hold on a minute, I've just took that off him and give him his brother, and you're always questioning yourself as a parent. As give me 30 kids, and I feel like I can clone them, I can coach them, I can nurture them. But when it's your own children and they don't listen the same, you try and be the teacher and the coach as a parent would, and your children don't listen to you, and you're always questioning yourself. Even with my missus, when we go for a walk, are we doing the right thing there? Are we? Just let him be. Just let him be who he is and let him grow and find himself. Because you mentioned that about finding yourself, Dan, is really important.
Well, when you think about it, as a human being, you're literally thrown onto the planet, aren't you? You didn't ask. You didn't say, right, I want to be put there. Then I didn't. I want this color hair. I want these parents. I want to be this. And that all of us are. So really, you're just making it up all the time. You're not got a toolkit or they've tried, haven't they, with the 10 Commandments and the Bible, and they've tried to say this is the book on how to live.
Yeah.
And religion's been really important, but kind of know that that there's more options than just this particular book. So you're just making it up. So I think it's important to remember that in a really weird way. Because then you empathize with yourself and you go, I'm still making this up as a person myself.
Yes.
And I'm making it up. I'm making this stuff up. Definitely as a parent, this is the first time I've run through this, even if you're on your second, third child, because you've never been a parent of that child before.
Yep.
Do you know what I mean?
Yes.
What we do is, like I say, we're so frightened. We think so much about future consequences because that's important.
Yeah.
But we can sometimes overdo that. I know a lot of people talk about now, the always Eastern philosophies, get in the moment more, stay in the moment. But, you don't want to do that because you're frightened of the future or you're hiding. But there is a little bit of something in it where, you don't really know what you're doing. You're going on your instincts. You're trying. The kid's going for a walk. Just let them have a walk. They'll find their way. Have a little bit of trust, as long as there's certain basics around.
Yeah.
But how hard is that to do when you're stressed out yourself and you feel guilty and you're too busy and you haven't got any time and you're not peaceful with yourself and you've got issues from your own parents and your own past and then the kid's misbehaving and then so. You're actually thrown into a real mess in a way, a real situation. We're not on a blank canvas here.
No.
You're in a real messy situation, unique one. Mm-hmm. So it's good to have that kind of guidelines, but I do think people can although the future's important and you have to, navigate and think, I do think a lot of people who are good willing, really get over cautious about every little thing and how it's going to affect the child's development and psychology and all this.
Yeah.
And I think a good coach settles that down.
Yes.
Back to actions, a coach who comes along, who's funny, vibrant, enjoyable. They kind of lead the way by their actions.
Yes. Yeah.
They're in the moment, they're laughing around, they're playing, they're passionate, setting task goals, taking the mickey a bit, boosting people up, setting challenges, and also living a life for themselves where the kid's thinking, wow, that person looks happy. That person looks like their life's good. I've noticed that they have a nice relationships themselves.
Nice car, nice house, nice immaterial stuff,
Yeah, bits of thing, something not necessarily they're very, very successful in the modern sense of money and capitalism, but they're just sound, they're just solid characters, and they seem happy with what they've got.
Yeah.
I think that's a good, because the coach has got to where they've got to. Now the kid, then that person saying to the child, you can be anything you want to be, you can go for it, you should do whilst you're young, go for it.
Yeah.
I think a good coach and a good mentor does that. It's like, I'm happy, I'm solid with me. If you do what you want to do, but I'm just giving you a living, breathing example of somebody who's pretty solid and sound.
Yes.
I think that's as much the best sort of psychology that you can get. A lot of grandparents have played that role because they're a bit removed from the stress. Obviously, great parents have always been like that. That solid figure. Teachers, the same.
Yep.
And pets, dogs. Dogs are. A dog is all your coaching things are in a dog. They're present. They're fun. They're happy to see you. They don't demand too much, but they do need. How they get on and having pets around and animals, they're also great reminders of how to settle and relax a bit.
So Dan, there's no, we say there's no guide, there's no book, but your philosophy from your book, The Winning Parents, do you think that the philosophy from Laura winning the world number one, obviously she was world number one there, there's Laura, that's Daniel's missus, obviously elite England squash coach, played at a very high level, winning the world number one women's championship there as well. And Danny was a coach. I love that picture. And I want to get these in, Dan, because I know you're passionate and you want to talk, but I want to kind of really dig a little bit deeper in terms of the philosophy from all this success, from winning and Laura becoming world number one, yourself playing, your mindset to coach and mentor others, then write your own book called The Winning Parent. Has that philosophy come into that book, that system for a winning now and forever with your children in sport? It's about that long-term athletic development, that sporting child. But in terms of a winning parent, there's other topics related to that. So tell us all about this, your book. Tell us about, I've got it here as well. So let me just show you. There's your book. But I want you to talk to me about Laura when she become world number one, the kind of psychological journey and the stuff you've had to work with Laura on a psychological, this philosophy, as it played its part to help Laura.
Yeah, it's like a dripping drip, always taking in information new. How can we make this go better? I think when you're passionate about anything, there's lots of things go on, but you're like, if we're going to do it, we're going to do it properly. I think that was a motto Laura had from her background, and leave no stone unturned. That became another one of our sort of philosophies, motto. So it was like, if we're really going to do this, and I'm going to give up my job, and she's going to, of all the things we could do, we've chosen this. We chose it. So are we going to do it right and as best as we can, or are we just going to, do it up to a point and play the role of professional and I've got a diet, I've got a nutrition, I've got to play on the tour, I've got the car, I've got the bit of the, a bit of fit. Are we just going to be happy with playing the act, or are we actually going to literally like squeeze this out, and so that when we stop playing and she stops and we've stopped the journey, we can then say, well, we couldn't have done anything else, no matter what. And that was it. So that led us into the psychology side of it, the technical side, endlessly technically improving her actual skills. I think technique has gone really out of fashion in a lot of sports. I personally think it all became about, the child needs to learn for themselves, and the game sports, and all about developing their own solutions and all that. Yeah, fine, but actually you watch any top athlete in any sport, the first thing you notice every single time is movement. It's how they actually move, so when we got Laura's movement, she's already a good player, but when we got her running better, stopping, braking, twisting, turning, lasting longer, keeping her form, biomechanics, posture, the swing, how the swing affects the rhythm of flow and energy conservation. When you get that proper technical base and you become like a self-technical coach, so it's not always overwhelming that, I'm getting techniques done my head in. You can handle technique coming in, and you're used to being your own engineer. So a coach in the end just has to go elbow, shoulder, foot position, and the player knows that that's like a whole chain of things that's going to change the whole match. That's when you're getting really, really to that world number one level, where you can enter the tiniest of details and it changes a whole tournament. I mean, Ronnie O'Sullivan talks about it in snooker, and you fight. They get a bowler with his action in cricket, or someone how they're running in football and how it prevents an injury, which leads, starting position for a goalkeeper. These tiny things. There's some people never get that. They just can't understand technique. It's like, oh, leave me. I just like playing. And they'd be great. They're good players, and they think, but they never, because it's like they're frightened of really understanding and that self-awareness of what they do. Now, a good coach knows how to bring that in slowly without making it boring. It's actually very interesting, really. And I'm telling you now, it's never boring when you're getting better, ever. And if you do technique with a kid, I've found this so much, and they suddenly can hit the ball better, they're like, oh. And then they're hooked into that kind of detail, change your grip, move your elbow, swing it. But not everybody knows the technical information as well. And that's the thing. We've flooded the market with people who have done coaching badges and skills and university qualifications. They actually don't know the sport.
Even the some national governing bodies, we won't go there, but even some national governing bodies who putting on these certifications, they're just cloning, kind of like, that's how we should do it. Well, you've lived it, Dan, as well, and you inspired me to become a children's coach.
Well, when you see somebody really, really into the details of making a baker or an engineer on a car, or a cricket bowler on bowling, or a batsman, of course you can get too analytical and too technical, right? And I get it. And certain sports, they all have their different theories, but you can't just throw it out. Oh, technique's not important. Do you know what I mean?
No. Yes.
Like, that's what I feel has happened. I'm not saying it's all technical by any stretch. You've still got to let them play games, work stuff out, tell them to fix it. Don't give them solutions. You've still got to do that. I'm just saying that you can't just throw the technical part out as, oh, that's all bad.
Yeah.
And it's all this. I mean, that's stupid. You need engineering, and it's part of sport. But you need psychology. Like, so Laura over her career and myself, we trained in psychology, and we had loads of different psychologists over the years, some psychotherapy at one level, not so much sports psychology, to be honest, but more like life psychology, and, how to deal with life motivation, and we had a few good business people on at the end who were quite high achievers in business, who were really driven with all the Anthony Robbins type stuff, you know, and fake it till you make it, and you're the best, and you're the best. So a lot of the brainwashing type stuff that helped only at the end when she was already really good.
Yeah.
You know, the amount of people I've seen try psychology things, and it's like the worst thing they should have done, because the level is nowhere near it.
Yeah, yeah. What obstacles, Dan? What obstacles was Laura having? And with yourself being that psychological trainer as well and trained in NLP, what obstacles did you and Laura?
For Laura, there'll be issues like we all have, you know, issues with a pressure on herself to win. You know, when she was young, she put a lot of pressure on herself that winning is everything. And her dad, you know, he was ex-army. He was pretty good at that, at saying, "Come on," and he kept it real in a way. When you won, it was great. When you lost, it was rubbish.
Yeah.
So she ended up, you know, am I really loved if I don't win? Mm-hmm. Am I just my squash results, or am I a person anyway that's popular? You know, and you know, so that was a kind of an area that needed looking at. Confidence, belief. You know, you'd come across certain opponents that just seemed way too good. Nicole David in squash in particular was like probably the best player who's ever played, to the dominance, because she was so much fitter. She's from Malaysia. She had hips like that big, so she could twist and turn and run, which was a massive advantage in squash. Yeah, that's why the men do really well, actually, compared to the women in some ways, because they can twist and agile. But when you have a little bit wider hips, quite harder in squash to turn and get out. It's, for any of you that don't know, it's, you know, it's obviously a tough physical sport. Nicole came along, she was this, so she was like dominant number one for 8-9 years. She was unbelievable. She was so far ahead physically. But when they caught up with the physicality and they started to get to her, then you had this mental gap, because it was like she was this machine. Yeah. So there was a lot of stuff done there that we broke her down in our minds, you know. Yeah. How do you change your beliefs that you can really beat this person and break her down and get into her? Because when someone's been that successful, like they say it was Roger Federer or someone, it's quite hard not to be respectful.
Yes.
But how do you, if you're kind of a well brought up person, how do you go over and get in the face when you know you really shouldn't? But how do you still do it and have the courage to, you know? So we had to do that a lot with Nicole. That was a big block. And once she cracked Nicole and started to beat her, and that was huge for Laura's belief, because then every other player then was like, you know, and then they had a problem trying to crack Laura. She became known as the Ice Queen. Yeah, because she had this stare and she was very controlled emotionally. Yeah. It's funny, since she's retired, everybody's like, I can't believe how nice you are. Yeah. She's like, what do you think I were like? So we just thought you were this like marine machine, you know, that was just like, you know, but that was all designed, you know, that was all designed for and cultivated. And it's only since we've stopped playing, really, and Laura's been writing a book that's going to be coming out next year.
What's that called, Dan? What book's that?
I think it's going to be called, I think there's a few titles, but something like All In. Yeah, it's all in, because if anything, that's what we were, as we're saying, all in. And I think we've realised now, when we've come away from it, looking back, we worked hard. I mean, we did some serious stuff, you know, in terms of practice, fitness, you know, finding the best people. Yeah. For me, with a lot of, I always get asked to talk about resilience lately. I don't know why, it's this big new thing. When I go talk to people, it's like mindset and blooming, you know, speed SAQ back in the day, and you know, it's just, they just keep coming, don't they? Yeah. And so resilience, and I'm like, well, resilience is just someone telling you to do something that you trust and doing it. Yeah. And when you win and lose, they just go, right, well, that didn't work, do that, and you do it. And then, well, that didn't work, do that, and you do it. And then you win, that worked, do it again. Yeah. Right? And, well, try this, what do you think? Well, this is what you have a chat about it, and you just do it. Yeah. It's action again. It's getting without swearing, it's getting, you know, stuff done. Do it. Get it done. Live in your actions more. Do it. Stop thinking about it. Stop talking about it.
Do it.
Stop, you know, considering it.
Yeah.
And it's like, and that's why I come back to when I'm working with people and players, we can all talk the talk. We can all say the night thing. We're all clever, political. Yeah. And I just watch people and I watch them. Oh, you've lost weight. Oh, your eyes look brighter.
Yeah.
Something's going on. Well done. Oh, you know, you've got a good demeanor around. You can laugh at yourself at the moment. You're doing well.
Yeah. Yeah.
When I see uptight, you know, a bit of this, you know, you start to think, there's some sort of conflict going on in your world. You're saying this, but you're not doing it.
Doing it with actions, yeah.
And what do we do as coaches then? Bad coaches, because they need them sometimes, and they need the money to keep coming in, and they need the membership up, and they need the numbers. They ignore all that and just put on a session, pretend everything's okay, and then obviously nothing really gets moving on. There's always a crash coming.
Yes.
And we've seen that a bit with the mental health types things now. Good people get hold of you. They put you back on the horse and they get you to go.
Yes.
They're quite pragmatic. And you might call that an old-fashioned skill now, or, you know, you rub them down. Oh, look, come on, bang on it. And before they've got a chance to really overthink it, they're back into their actions and they're getting that momentum again. Momentum
going. And you're writing, you're doing your PhD. Are you living well through a sporting life, Dan?
Yeah, that's been amazing for me. Towards the end of Laura's career life as a player, I was starting to, and I had my academic journey going on all the time, still lecturing a lot in sports coaching and to masters. I kind of saw this conflict between the lived life and what I felt, the messiness of a person's life, actual life. And then you start to get these books and university at the other side that were very good on doing like coaching systems and models, as if everybody was a blank slate and you just do this.
Yes.
And anytime you tried to bring into that reality and that sticky stuff, they'd just go, well, that's something you've got to work out at the time. Like, you know, I feel good in the lecture and I feel good reading the book. But as soon as I walk out the library or walk back into my life, it's like it doesn't fit. It's like my life's going on with all its stuff. Relationships, money to pay, bills, problems, opponents getting in the way. You know, if 100 of us read the Ask the Universe and it will give you something book, do we all get it? Or, you know,
that's it.
If 20 of us in the top 20 do all the things you're supposed to, you're still going to have one winner and one person at 20th. So is it, you know, like it's not a formula. So my study's been about that. It's been about how can you blend some of this information with an actual lived life. But really trying to project more about, like, this is how you actually feel during it on the roller coaster, as I say, in it. When you're riding that roller coaster and you're in that moment, this is what's really going on, and this is the truth. This other stuff's important, but it's not, at best, it's level with it. It's not above it. It's just down there making a comment. And that goes back to my stuff about when you watch a match on Monday Night Football. It's like the analysis is more important and more exciting than the game. Do you know what I mean? It might become a sport in itself. It's like, no, you're just talking about it for hours. It's not it. That's not how it feels and smells and how it is to be that person playing that game in this form at this time in that weather, with those fans and all that stuff.
Running across the road to get ice, you know.
And that's what I'm generally trying to help people with when I work a lot on the mental side with players and just try to help the person, not the player. It's generally a lot about giving them a little bit more, reminding them they're not robots. Reminding them that they are actually first and foremost people, and they're healthy and they're fine, and get it all in perspective.
Yeah.
We're all right. And even if you win a gold medal, you're not in the land of, the Wizard of Oz where it'll all be perfect forever. You still got to get up the morning after, and it's still going to be weird. And then you're going to feel pressure to do it again, or you might get addicted to it. So I've been really trying to help with that. For anyone who wants to know, there's a great documentary I watched about the gymnast Niall Wilson. In the last 4 years or so, he was a great gymnast as a kid growing up. I think it was Rotherham. And it's on YouTube. And the kid was just really good. Then he became an internet sensation with his YouTube stuff. Basically blew his head off. It just made him think he was this amazing superstar. And then when it started to come off with injury, he couldn't cope because he started to think all he was a gymnast, not a person.
Yeah.
And the whole documentary is about how he got back to mental health and went through that. It's a very good documentary and a good one for parents to watch as a reminder.
So speaking of parents, Dan, from your book, what tips have you got for parents from when you're thinking of your book, just kind of like seeding your book? I'll leave the link in the comments for your book. People. But tips for parents, what big thing would you kind of like from a psychological, from like your experience as well growing up? Laura,
there was a lot of things in the book and so on, but there's a difficult that firstly there's every situation's different. Okay, your kids are different. Some kids are just like cut out for it and some aren't. Okay, that can in the same family. Some parents are just naturally lowly involved in sports. Some are moderately involved, and some are the highly involved parents. It's all different. Doesn't matter. It doesn't. There's no problem with being highly involved, or moderately involved, or lowly involved. When you go across the spectrum and read all the autobiographies and you chat to people over life, all types of different parenting. It's really, really difficult. And but I think the family background, the setting of the family values and congruence with that, whether it's at one end of the scale where it's all about, hard work, success, achievement, and then you might have one that's like, no, we're not into that. It's about enjoyment, fun, playfulness, relaxation, doing it yourself. I just think as long as there's a constant message and it's congruent, I think that's a good thing in itself. But I think what has to tie in with that is your own sense of, there's a section at the end of the book, empathy, humility, and patience. Mm-hmm. And I think to have empathy for somebody else, which, what they're going through, the age they're at, with the experience they're at and their life, I think you have to start with massive empathy for yourself. In other words, you kind of have to get yourself in a really good place as a person, if you can, given your situation, where you feel quite warm and you're quite human and you're quite balanced. Mm-hmm. And I think from that position, then you can have empathy for other people.
Yes.
You feel more understanding. You don't default to a me versus you and I'm right, you're wrong. Not easy to do all the time. Mm-hmm. When it starts to get highly competitive, it's even harder to do, because it's I want to win. You can still do that, but you can still have that. But if underneath you're quite empathy and you're solid, you can take the defeat on the chin. Yeah, you can shake hands and you can not hate the other person or think that you're a total disgrace and they think they're better than us now. Yeah. I think it's that inferiority, that lack of empathy for yourself. So I think if you're niggly and your life's not so great, I don't think you're necessarily going to be a good sports parent. No, because it's just going to blow up.
Yes. Yeah.
You don't do that. They think they're better than us when I was your age, and you're not sorted in yourself. You haven't got over your own issues.
Yeah, that's it.
For me, it's like get yourself balanced, and there's a lot of tips in the book about if you know you're susceptible to that, for example, and you know you're not just take to it like a duck to water.
Yeah.
Because people just do it easy and they go, well, what's the problem? Sports parenting, it's easy.
Yeah.
And it is, because to them it is easy. But for people who it isn't easy for, and they know they're getting a bit, oh, and I can't help it. Then there's little things you can practically do. Don't have too much coffee before you go.
Yeah.
Go get on a night out the night before and get too ratty, and you're all stressed out, or go on a night out if it mellows you out. Whatever. Stay away a little bit more.
Yes.
Go and speak to your best friend before you go there. Look at the bigger picture. Have a mantra. To come up with some sort of strategy. Sit next to a parent who you've given permission to put their hand on your knee or to say, "Oi, you're starting," because you can't catch yourself.
No, that's it.
That will at least reduce it. You're not going to be a saint, or you'll always be able to bite your tongue. And sometimes a true word needs to be spoken. But, if all you have is a hammer, everything looks like a nail, doesn't it? So if you're just banging on all the time, it just gets boring. Yeah. Never mind, like emotionally destroying and upsetting. It just actually gets boring. It's just like EastEnders, isn't it? Coronation Street, the same story for 50 years.
Yes.
People love it because they're like, it just gets boring. So for people like you and me who see it come and go, it's like, blooming out, here we go again. There it is. But to that parent going through it, it's not boring. It's like really, really important to them. Yeah. So it just goes back to them. Can they spot their own tendencies? Can they get themselves in generally a good, happy place? I think if there's a good marriage going on, for example, obviously the children are more relaxed. I think if there's problems in the marriage, that's difficult. Single parents, that causes things. So there's very complex, as I've said, but there's a few tips.
Good. And I've had Ted on this morning. He said it's such an interesting perspective. He's ordering the book now. So that's good on Ted. That's good.
Yeah, there's some really good bits in it. You don't have to read it all, but you can.
Yeah, that's good. And we've got a let's have a look what else here. The way Danny's talking is great to hear. He should definitely get this on Audible. So he should get it on Audible, Danny.
Yeah, I thought about that. I listen to lots of my books now on Audible. I like doing both, getting the book and having an Audible if I can, and doing a bit of both. But I've thought of that, some maybe a condensed version of it, and maybe tying into my new to the book I'll release after my PhD. Exciting
for that, Dan. And was it difficult? Mick said, was it difficult? And I don't know whether he's having a matey dig here or not, but he said, was it difficult striking a balance between husband and coach?
And it sounds a bit more heroic, doesn't it, if I say it was? Do you know what?
I think Mick knows how to get under your skin here, Danny.
No, it wasn't. It wasn't really that difficult, really. And the reason it wasn't difficult, there was a few times, but it'd be difficult with any athlete. There were a few moments, but it wasn't difficult. I'll tell you why it wasn't difficult. It was because we were always on the same page and we were solid as a couple anyway. So then the sport part was just an extension of that. So if anybody knew us, they know that me and Laura are rock solid. As we worked hard on our relationship. So then that was the priority always. That I was like, if this makes us unhappy as a team at any point, it's not important. It's literally not important. It's just playtime, this stuff, but we will play hard and we'll do our very best. And I don't think people ever could quite understand that, particularly even in the squash world. They used to get they were like, we were starting to win. They started to get a bit agitated with us because it was like, how can they be so bloody happy and get on we want them arguing and falling out. We want it to blow up because they're now winning. But early on, and it was, I must say, early on it was weird because it was like she wasn't winning as much in the bit. Yeah, there were a few times there we had to like have a few honest conversations. But I'm naturally quite pragmatic and forthright, and I will apologise when I know I'm a bit out of order. So I'm naturally like that anyway.
Yeah,
because I'm quite secure in myself to a point. We're all insecure, but to a point, I'll say it. So yeah, we always just got on with it. But mainly, I'd have to say, Laura was so good. She was so talented. She just worked like you couldn't have worked any harder. And she was good anyway. She'd won all the age groups as a kid in England. It wasn't like she was no good, and she was class. She just was. I don't know why. She was just good at it. First time she ever hit a squash ball, age 4, she just volleyed it.
Yeah.
She wasn't known as the most skillful player. It was just good. You see it now, don't you, with defenders in football or something? They're just a defender in terms of skill level. But at school, they would dribble around every player. Yeah. They were still really skillful, and just natural. So that's a long answer to Mick's question there.
It is. But I bet did you used to lie there in bed at night, Dan, and give her a psychological pet talk because you spent more time with the athlete?
Well, tournaments, like as a whole thing, you had to learn how to switch off and so on. And I could, we could both be intense.
Yeah.
One of the biggest things that helped us was role clarification. So this is good for parents, actually, a really good one with the kids. It's like, right, 3 things you want from me from this trip, and 3 things you want from me. So Laura would say to me, right, she'd say, I want you to help me in my match and coach me between the games and be there, like coach me live. It's like, right, we can do that. I like doing that. That's the nice part, really. It's hard and your heart's pumping out your chest, but it's nothing better than coaching world-class squad. Then it was like she wants me to coach her in the mornings and feed her balls and look at and all that. And then she said, I want you to have a holiday when we go, so all the pressure isn't on me for my squash.
Yeah.
So if I went to San Francisco, I want you to have a good time. So I was like, I can do those 3. And for me, it was like I said, right, you got to let me have that holiday. Don't be having a go at me if I want to go playing golf or on a few nights out. She went, yeah, fine. I like my space. Don't come in too late, and don't, I was like, she said, I said, don't want you ever getting too high or too low off results. You can have 3-4 hours or maybe the night if it's a late match, but then it's over with and we move on.
Yeah.
If you win the world championships, we'll party forever, whatever, and so we'll do that. But essentially, it was like that, and then the last one, I said to her, I want you to never give up.
Yeah.
Never give up in a match. And oh, my dog's coming. And just always fight to the last point.
Yeah.
It was good at anyway, but it was just reinforcing something I already admired and already really. It's a simple thing for her. I knew that that's something she could easily do, so she did that. So what that did, it was like. It really helped because you weren't second guessing how you could help the other person. You were a bit like, well, I've done my job.
Yeah.
And she was like, well, I've done my bit. So they're not thinking anything of, I'm not thinking, should I have done more? Could I have done more to help her? And she wasn't like, oh, have I let him down? Is he annoyed that we've come all this way and we haven't won? And am I putting his life on hold? It was like, no. So those, just having 3 things like that is a really good tip that you could do with your son or your daughter.
Yeah.
And agree and stick to that. And it's like a fair deal.
Brilliant, Dan. Brilliant. Well, you've been on a long time. I want to say thanks for all your time, Dan. And I hope you're well. And I've seen you play pool. You beat me at pool on Club La Santa. You're absolutely ruthless at pool.
Santa, what a place. That's a good place, isn't it?
Awesome.
I went back this summer. Last winter. It was still brilliant. They've really modernised it.
It's awesome. And I heard you mention golf, so we'll have to plan a game of golfing and test your psychology. You're already thinking I'll whip you. test your psychological state at golf. How are you at golf, Danny? Are you doing well?
Yeah, I love it, golf. It's best thing about it's been able to spend a lot of time with my dad playing golf, and his friends. So that's been good. It annoys me because I know if I took it up properly, I could be really down there. I play to about 10, 11, 12, that type of thing on average.
I'll not play you then.
I'm playing better after this lockdown, actually, because I've not been playing any squash with the right hand.
Yeah.
I've sort of lost my squash swing, so my golf swing's really not balanced. When you play squash, you always want to use that hand without knowing it, so it's brilliant. It's golf's hard. Golf is hard.
Top man, Dan. Well, I won't keep you too long. I just want to say thanks, Dan, and I'll thanks for your time, and I'll catch you soon.
Yeah, well done to you with all this. You've had an amazing journey yourself, and you're helping a lot of people, and I can tell you're buzzing. So well done. Buzzing.
Thanks, Dan. Thanks so much. Keep up the good work.
I will. Bye.
Bye.
FUNDA Greatness. Engage, inspire, motivate, and empower millions of children every day, supporting you, the adult, to unlock your child's full potential so that they can achieve greatness at home, school, and in life.
Your child can achieve greatness. What is greatness? What is your child's full potential? There's only one way to find out. It's okay to not follow the crowd. It's okay to be different. Who cares what others think? You only have one life. Live it. Do what others refuse to do.
Making a positive difference to children's lives every day.